and it is 6:20 p.m. We are located at Bryan Elementary School cafeteria. At this meeting, the board will deliberate or act on any of the subjects listed on the following agenda. The president may change the orders of items listed for the convenience of the board. In accordance with Governor Abbott's declaration of the COVID-19 public health threat and action to temporarily suspend certain provisions of the Texas Open Meeting Act, a quorum of the District Board of Trustees will hold its regular board meeting by video conference or teleconference. The public will have the option to attend and participate in the meeting remotely by video conference or by teleconference. The members of the public that may access this meeting can be found at the Mission website. Further information on joining the meeting will be available at our Mission website. Public comments. Members of the public wishing to make public comments during the meeting must register by mailing a Gallardo at missioncisd.org before 4 p.m. of the date of the meeting. The member of the public must provide the following information in the email. Subject of the member will discuss, the telephone number at which the member of the public may be reached, the name of the interpreter, and the contact information for the interpreter if the member requires an interpreter to provide public comment, and whether the registrant will require the use of a TTY service to facilitate the public agenda. Do we have any public comments?
No, ma'am, we have none.
There is no public comments that's on our agenda. We will now discuss the 2021-22 budget and proposed tax rate.
Ruiz? Thank you. Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Madam Superintendent, members of the audience. Welcome to the public hearing to discuss the 2021-2022 budget and proposed tax rate. Section 44.002 through 44.006 of the Texas Education Code establishes the legal basis for the budget development in school districts. The district's budget must be prepared by June 19th, and this date is set by the State Board of Education. The board president must call a public hearing of the Board of Trustees giving 10 days public notice in the newspaper for the adoption of the district's budget. The district published the notice on June 11, 2021 in the Progress Times newspaper. Any taxpayer in the district may be present and participate in the meeting. The budget must be legally adopted by June 30th of 2020. Some of the assumptions that we consider in the budget and that we have been sharing throughout this semester is that the district state revenue is based on 13,822 average daily attendance students, and we are utilizing the current law formulas. The tax rate to be available in August for the maintenance and operations once the Hidalgo County Tax Office releases the certified value on or about July 25th, the district is required to complete a survey to TEA, and TEA will review the information we have submitted and they will approve a tax rate that the district can adopt. For the debt service, we're utilizing 0.1713. All figures will be recalculated once we have certified values. Property values historically have increased from 2 to 4% in prior years, and I'm sure all of you have noticed a significant increase in your property values. For Mission, the chief appraiser estimated a 6.10% increase in values compared to prior year. And once again, the certified roll of property values is to be released later in July. Some critical components in the FACI formulas that are not available because of changes in state legislature is the state property values. For 2021 tax year, the Comptroller of Public Accounts will not release those values until sometime in the spring of 2022. The tax rate, once again, we expect that to be released sometime in mid-August. Other considerations that were included in the budget is the employee compensation package, and more detailed information will be shared with the board once we start the special board meeting. But some of the items that we have in here is 2.5% or $1,450 for staff that is 1 to 5 years of experience, and this is in the teachers, nurses, and other positions that qualify under that salary schedule. 2.6% or 1,550 for staff within 6 to 9 years of experience, and 3.5% or $2,050 for staff with 10 years plus of experience. There's also some amounts in there for some equity adjustments. There's also a 2.5% salary increase from the midpoint for all other positions, and that would be administrative professional, clerical technical, instructional support, and auxiliary salary schedules as well. The budget does reflect an increase on the self-funded group health plan employer contribution of 10%. We are not making any increases to the employee contribution. So this is only being reflected on the employer side. Then we also include some compensation, some incentive pay out of the ESSER III monies. Those are funds that came from, that were passed by Congress in March of 2021. And so the district has decided, based on input from different stakeholders and administration's recommendation, to include the incentive pay utilizing federal monies. Just to provide some historical information on enrollment in ADA from year to year for the last 10 years. ADA is what the district, the state agency TEA will utilize to provide funding to school districts. So it's based on average daily attendance. While enrollment, it's just the number of bodies or children that come to our schools or that are registered at a certain point in time, usually during the PIM snapshot enrollment. And that data is captured in October, the last Friday in October. And this just gives you a graph information on where or the ADA has been. You will notice that in 1920 our ADA is the lowest for the last 10 years, but that's because TEA made adjustments to average daily attendance as a result of the pandemic. So that's why you see that significant decline. For 2020, 2021, we ended with 13,775 ADA. That's the information that was submitted to TEA. However, TEA still continues to do calculations. And so that number, for the most part, it's a good estimate on where we're gonna end up at the end of the year. Once we took into consideration all those factors, this is a revenue that is being projected for the school district. Under general fund, we are estimating $180,862,843. And this is made up of local, which is property taxes and other small amounts. State revenue, which is mainly foundation, and those are driven by student average daily attendance and other programs we have. And then we also have federal revenue, which is mainly attributable to the child nutrition program operations and some other small amounts of federal monies that we have in the district. On the debt service side, for local revenue, we have $4,182,889, and most of those funds are driven by tax collections. And then on the state revenue, we do have $4,274,159, and that's the state's portion to pay the bonds that we have, the outstanding bonds. And for a total revenue in debt service of $8,457,048, for a total revenue for the district of $189,319,891. Just to give you an overview of the distribution, 72% comes from the state, 13% comes from federal, and 15% is local. So we're dependent on state. We're heavily dependent on the state revenue that we receive from TEA. On the debt service side, 49% comes from local monies and 51% comes out of state. We would prefer that state funding or that percentage would be higher, but as property values continue to increase, that percentage is shifting more to the benefit of the state and to a disadvantage on the school district. The proposed budget, which is the expenditures, and this is the item that in a little while you will be approving to adopt the budget. So for the general fund, we're bringing expenditures budget of $180,862,843, and it's broken down by function. This is a requirement from TEA, where the board has to approve at the function level. As you can see, most of our resources are going towards function 11, which is instruction, and that's in interaction between teachers and students. And so that's where the bulk of our budget is allocated. On the debt service side, we do have $8,457,048, and that's on the debt service, and we can only utilize monies to make payments on bonds. Once again, the proposed expenditures budget would be $189,319,891.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
On here on the 8,457,48, when you're saying we're paying into the debt, or what is it? How much is going into what?
We do have outstanding bonds, and I do have a slide later in the presentation. We do have outstanding bonds that were issued in prior years, and so every year we need to make payments on those principal and interest, just like if it was a mortgage. So we have to make sure that we do collect sufficient monies, that we levy sufficient taxes in order to make the payment.
Do you have to withdraw from the general fund?
No, we don't draw from general fund. When you pay your tax bill, in your case, you leave it, when you pay your collection, your tax bill, when you pay back to whoever is collecting for us, it could be a bank or Hidalgo County, whatever, let's say you pay $1,000, so much goes for maintenance and operations and so much goes for debt service.
How much is our debt?
If you go to page 20 on that PowerPoint slide, or page 19, actually, I start on page 19. We do have outstanding debt of 119,704. Principal is 91 million and interest is 28,579,000.
Where did you read the 100 and what?
Page 20,
19?
Page 19, yes.
19.
So it's 119,704,747.
Okay.
All right, and I'll get into more detail on the slide right after. You can just give me a quick minute.
I'll wait. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
And then this one is just other sources and uses. General fund does provide additional funding to some of our local funds, such as athletics, fine arts, technology, and special education. Then your expenditures by category for payroll, it's 143 million. Contracted services is 14,674,932. We also have supplies at 15,545,791. Other operating costs, 5,643,334. We do have some debt on general fund for some qualified school construction bonds dating back to 2012, and also some maintenance tax notes back in 2017. And we do have a small amount allocated for capital outlay of 614,439. And once again, on debt service, everything must be set aside to pay debt. And this gives you an illustration of the breakdown of the budget. 75% is for payroll, 8% is for contracted services, 9% of the budget is for supplies. Other operating cost is 3%, and debt is about 1%. And on the debt service side, 100% goes towards debt. These are some of the local funds we do have in general fund. So we do have the child nutrition program. And the expenditures for that program for the upcoming year is estimated at 13,742,905. For career and technology education is $7,595,000. $7,595,907. Bilingual education, $1,976,223. Special education, $13,023,800. College, career, military, and readiness, $1,894,956. State compensatory education, $11,114,535. Athletics, $4,486,935. Fine arts, $1,414,547. Technology, $1,682,046. Transportation, $4,540,488. Gifted and talented program, $280,984. And then the general fund, the main fund, $109,517.
Romalda,
Yes, ma'am.
what programs fall under state
State,
for education?
under state foundation?
Yes.
Okay, that would be career and technology, bilingual, special ed, college, career, military readiness, state comp.
All of the above.
Yes, and gifted and talented, they do not provide funding for that. With the prior legislative session, 86 legislative session, they did away with funding, but they kept a requirement, so we had to set money aside. With this new legislative session, or this legislative session that just ended, they did provide funding for that. With the prior legislative session, 86 legislative session, they did away with funding, but they kept a requirement, so we had to set money aside. With this new legislative session that just ended, they did provide funding for that. they are providing funding again. So, and then they are providing funding at a higher amount. But that is not reflected here because we didn't find out until sometime back, and we finalized the budget earlier in June in order to meet deadlines.
Sure.
But we will be making adjustments as are necessary.
And we've only received estimates,
Yeah, of course.
okay?
So these 280 will go back to the,
It's going back to GT. We have to make the funding available regardless. And so now what the state is saying is that we may get additional funding to support the GT program. But we don't know at this point in time how much. And if they will take away from the regular 199 to give it to them. Was there any more questions, Madam President? Okay.
Thank you.
The next item is just a budget comparison from the original budget that we brought back to the board a year ago, and then just where we are. We do have increases in expenditures of 14,964,000. However, the original 2020-2021 budget did not include 6 million of foundation monies from TEA. As a result of all the changes that we were required to do as a result of the pandemic and the limited time we had to do to adjust, to fix our budget to reflect that. Next slide, is proposed tax rate. House Bill 3 was passed by the 86th legislature and signed into law on June 11, 2019 by Governor Greg Abbott. House Bill 3 requires school districts to reduce maintenance and operations tax rate in accordance with education code and the tax code. TEA will survey school districts regarding appraisal district values between July 18 and August 1st to calculate and certify the district's tax rate in August. And so the district is required to submit property value information to the Texas Education Agency in August. Once the Idaho County certified values are available, these values will determine the district's maximum comparison rate, and TEA will provide this rate to Mission CISD. So just to this, another disclaimer why we do not have a set tax rate at this point in time. So for purposes of this public hearing, we're utilizing what we know from prior year, which is 1.0280. Another disclaimer I want to do is that once we get certified values, we will go through the calculation, and we do expect that to go down. I cannot tell you by how much. It all will depend on the certified roll that we get sometime in July. But I did want to let you know of that once again. On the debt service fund, we started this school year with a fund balance in debt service with $5,239,599. The outstanding debt service that we have, the balances that we expect to have by next week would be $119,704,747, and that is made up of principal, which is $91,124,960. And in interest of $28,579,787. The annual obligation we have for this upcoming fiscal year is $8,432,047. And the last bond payment we have is due June 30th of 2038, and the amount is $3.8 million. This slide 20 reflects the different refundings that we've had since 2014. This reflects all the bonded debt that is supported by TEA. They pay about anywhere between 50-55% of the bond payment, and the district pays the other percentage. And so in 2014, we did have a refunding, and we still have some amounts there outstanding. But what I do want to bring to your attention is the refunding savings attained when we did the refunding back in 2014. We were able to save $4,138,817. So those amounts that we have there outstanding is because you can refund bonds, and then you can continue to refund them as long as you meet the criteria. And so we do for the 2014 principal amount, we have $1,640,000 that we have to pay this after July 1. Actually, the payment is due February 15, 2022, but we have to put it in the budget, right? And so the interest that we will pay on that payment is $204,600. And then the remaining amounts that we still have outstanding, on that one from fiscal year 20 2023 to 2038 is 3,475,000 plus the 209,800. So I'm breaking it down between principal and interest. And the same goes for the bond refunding series 2014B. When we got refunding back in 2014, on that series, we saved 4.8 million. And once again, at that point in time, we did have low interest rates, and it was advantageous for the district to pull the trigger on those refundings. On the bond refunding series 2016, we were successfully able to refund those bonds, and we attained savings of almost $9 million. And then the last refunding we had, we all participated on that, and it was in December of 2020, and we were able to save 5.5 million, almost 5.6 million. So all in all, with the refundings over a 6-year period, we've been able to save Mission CISD taxpayers $23,512,232. So we're doing our job in keeping up with, continuing to work with the financial advisor and monitoring the bonds. And I'll be honest, we do get a lot of underwriters reaching out, but the timing is it's just not right for us. So on this one, on the 2020 refunding, Dr. Perez, when she came on board, she had been asking, and my response is, they're not due for refunding yet. We cannot call the bonds right now. And we waited. The timing was perfect. We pulled the trigger. We brought that recommendation to the board, and the board supported administration, and we were able to get a successful refunding.
Where does this refunding money go to?
It's like when you refinance.
We're
Refinance.
reducing,
And as you know, because of the pandemic, the interest rates went very low.
Oh, mhm.
And that's why, we were
It's
able,
like refinancing a note.
Yeah.
and so,
it's savings on the interest.
In reality, when do we really get rid of the debt? Can be more money be put into the debt?
oh,
Let's do-
definitely.
If there's extra monies and we can control it, or it's just, we're just paying like, your credit card, no más de mínimo.
Well, exactly, that's what we're doing.
That's what it is, right? So,
Because as she told you, whenever, in some instances, we owe 119 million, but there's also other text notes and so forth. But right now, we need to take care of some needs that we have. Okay, so that's why school districts rely on the taxes.
yeah, and then I can see, that we try to save as much, but like, we would like to give 3 point or 4 point, but sometimes, it's not really,
It's like
because we're just getting deeper into debt, whatever.
think about how many people refinanced the last 2 years because interest rates were at a very.
Yeah, I know.
Go ahead, Ms. Reese.
Thank you. One observation, Ms. Ramirez, though, is that we will not get additional money from TEA if we start paying off the bonds. And just keep in mind that 50% of the payment comes from TEA. So we would have to do a thorough analysis to see, what would be the impact, because we are actually providing savings back to the state
Exactly.
and not necessarily to our taxpayers.
Duele más.
Now, let's talk about the other one, the outstanding debt supported by maintenance and operations. And on this one, we do have a maintenance tax qualified school construction note, and that dates back to 2012. It was for $2,978,000, and the interest is $129,543. We do get a subsidy from the IRS, and they pay about half of the interest payment. Okay, and then we do have some taxable series 2017 for $8,315,000. Some of you were with us when we issued this notes, and when it was to free up money for the construction of Mission High School construction project, a big, large project, so that we could free up money in 199 to do the construction of the Tom Landry Stadium. So we swapped monies, and that's how we utilize that funding. And so on that one, we do have 7.9 million still outstanding in principal and 3,143,000 in interest.
So if we said that we owe 119 million in bonds,
Yes,
and here we owe 11 million,
yes,
it's a total of, oh, thank you. So it's a total of about 130 million.
yes, yes, ma'am. Yes, it is.
Thank you.
Any more questions, Mr. Reyes?
Oh,
Okay. And then just a quick overview on where we are on fund balance. We started this year with 76,331,591. And I would like to bring your attention on the unassigned, which is 68,977,229. That's a very healthy unassigned fund balance. The next slide just defines the different categories of the fund balance. And so 90% of our fund balance is unassigned, which is at the discretion of the board and of course of the superintendent for any expenditures that may be needed. Out of that 90%, we do have a set aside we do set aside 3 months of operating expenditure so they can help us with, that's considered a rainy day fund. And so it also helps us for better rating when we are considering issuing bonds and those kind of things. And it has also helped out during the pandemic because rating agencies have changed their methodology and they have been doing follow-up, they follow up with their clients to see if there's been a significant decline in their fund balance. And in our case, that hasn't happened. And so we do, it's our administrative procedure to set aside 3 months of operating expenditures for any unexpected things, and another 44%, which is what we're saying, that's the true unassigned. The next slide just gives you an overview of what has transpired with fund balances. Since 2019, you've seen big increases and then some decreases. The district has also, where you see some of the declines, we've funded construction out of general fund the last couple of years, and that's where you see a hit on fund balance. The budget and tax rate timeline, we posted a public notice on June 11th in the Progress Times. Today, we're doing the public hearing. In the special board meeting, we will bring forward a recommendation for the adoption of the budget. And the only item that will be pending is the tax rate adoption, which we anticipate bringing forward for your consideration at the September 8th, 2021 regular board meeting. And this is all I have for the public hearing. I know I went longer than the 15 minutes, but if you have any additional questions, I can entertain those at this time. Any questions?
Able to see here that during the board workshop, we talked about a 2.5 raise, but during the board meeting, we're going to give the board some options. Okay?
Yes, thank you.
This concludes the public hearing, Madam President.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for all the work.
Thank you.
Yes, I know it took.
thank you.
Yep.
Any discussion from anyone? Okay, this meeting is now adjourned at 6:48. The Board of Trustees of the Mission Consolidated Independent School District will hold a special meeting on Wednesday, June 23rd at 6:59 p.m. by video conference or telephone call. At this meeting, the board will deliberate or act on any of the subjects listed on the following agenda. The president may change the order of items listed below for convenience of the board. In accordance with Governor Abbott's declaration of the COVID-19 public health threat and action to temporarily suspend certain provisions of the Texas Open Meeting Act, a quorum of the District Board of Trustees will hold its regular board meeting by video conference or teleconference. The public will have the option to attend and participate in the meeting remotely or by video conference or by teleconference. Members of the public may access this meeting by checking our website. Public comment. Members of the public wishing to make public comments during the meeting must register by emailing a Gallardo at missioncisd.org before 4 o'clock on the date of the meeting. Do we have any speakers, Ms. Ana?
Yes, ma'am, you have one. Her name is Ana Maria Gallardo, and I would like to speak.
Oh.
Come right over here.
She's lost, go.
Okay, and I can assure you that she signed at the right time.
Yeah, we can. I second the motion to clap.
Do I need to fill something out right now, so, okay,
Ms. Hannah,
Monday.
what will your subject be?
Bye.
See you later.
See
Yes,
you later,
there you go.
until we meet again.
That's a good one, until we meet again.
I just want to address you all to thank you for this Mission CISD, especially for blessing me with 42 years of wonderful employment. Of those 42, I have worked directly with the superintendent and the board. And each board member has been different. I've learned from them. I've learned from them. And they've always been there, treating me very nicely and very respectfully. And I'm always here to help. I thank my security blanket that I always named as my security blanket, Mr. David Hanson, always helping me out when I had doubts on things that I was supposed to put in the agenda. Also, my Mission CISD family for being so good to me all the time, beginning from maintenance, cafeteria workers, fixed assets. All of these people that are here have been supporting me and have been very nice to me all this time, so I'm very grateful to them also. And then not to make us, I don't want to go 30 minutes.
You can. We're timing you.
I know. There's a song by Maroon 5, something about memories. It says, here's to the ones that are here, and here's to the ones that are not, and here's to the ones that have gone before us. So I'm not saying here's to them, but I thank everybody for being so kind to me. I've been in a wonderful place. I will always be around if you need me, and I think you'll know where to find me. So thank you so very much again. I love you all dearly, and I've always said my family, this has been my work family. I devoted myself to this work family, and I hope you all see it that way.
We will miss you, Ms. Hannah.
I forgot to give her phone number also, so I'll check her
I
later.
forgot to say, the most important ones that have always helped me is technology.
Yes,
Oh, yes.
definitely.
All of us.
At this time, I'll ask you to please stand up and join me with the pledge. Lead us, Jerry.
I pledge
Allegiance
to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next flag.
I pledge allegiance to Texas, one state, under God, one
Indivisible. Just bow your heads for a moment of prayer or your thoughts, and just basically, our summer school has gone so well that it continues to do so. You may have a seat. Thank you. We will now hear superintendent's updates and recognition.
Summer school will be ending this week, as a matter of fact, tomorrow. And we had very good attendance. As a matter of fact, over at Veterans Memorial High School that hosted the secondary, we had over 700 students working on credit recovery. This week, we also had a lot of our students that were receiving remote instruction that for whatever reason were not able to attend to take the end of course exams. Of course, a lot of the underclassmen were able to go and not only take the assessment, but also grow in for some practice sessions and some learning sessions to get them ready for end of course. So the parents were very pleased once the students were able to get the vaccine. The parents were much more comfortable, especially some of our children that might have had some health issues, but others that just because they were at home receiving remote instruction. So that was, they were very pleased that the children got opportunities to review the information and then take the exams. As a matter of fact, today they were testing as well. And also we have all kinds of extracurricular activities going on with sports and fine arts. And also, we want to let everyone know that we will be closing the school district for about 2 weeks. We will be back on Tuesday, July 13th. And also, I'd like to let the board know that the executive leadership team and the administration has nominated our board for Board of the Year. And so we worked on our application, and simply because of, you know, everything that you do. We know you do a lot of, it's all voluntary. You work very long hours to support, and children come first, staff and the community. And without your support, we would not have survived COVID and everything that we've been able to do, not only the last few years, but especially this school year. So we wanted to pay tribute to you. And so we did submit the application, and that was due last week. Was it Wednesday or Thursday? It was due Thursday. So we were able to turn that in, and that's just, you'll get an opportunity. We'll share that opportunity with you once we get back as to what we submitted, and only the facts, which is awesome accomplishments. Also, wanted to personally thank Ms. Gallardo for all her nuggets of wisdom that she has imparted. 3 years ago when I walked in, she embraced me, and I came in, you know, not knowing that what to expect, and I found this beautiful, strong heart woman ready to help me and start, you know, just not sprinting, but really jogging and running. And we were able to make that smooth transition because of her knowledge, her expertise, and all of the advice that she was able to give us to make sure that the year began. Of course, you know, everybody else, but especially her. And we know that, you know, from one district to another, there's always cultural differences in how things are done, whether it's a board agenda, whether it's a meeting, just all kinds of things. So, you know, even as I was getting ready to go to a meeting, you know, I would say, okay, Ms. Gallardo, how's my jacket? How's my dress, my hair? And she'd say, I'm not used to checking that. Because I've always had male superintendents, you know. So I kind of threw her off for a little loop. But we had a lot of fun. We worked hard, but we also have great, precious memories. And like I said, you know, it's you know, see you when I see you, because she's part of our community. And one of the things that I told her is, go get that retirement out of your system. And once you do, come back and help us. And even when she turned in her letter of resignation, you know, not resignation, retirement, I told her, I'm going to put it in my drawer, because so you can think about it. So, and I kept it there, and, you know, every couple of days she'd come and ask for it, and she finally said, Dr. Perez, I must turn in my paperwork. And you are serious, and I knew she was serious, but I didn't want to believe it. But the fact is that I know she will always be there for us. And like I said, once she gets it out of her system and she's had enough of gardening, she'll come back and help us. So thank you, Ms. Gallardo, for everything that you've done, not only for me, but for everybody in the office, because
I'll always be eternally grateful to all the different departments, all the different divisions. Every division, I've had wonderful, wonderful friends, all of them.
well, and we are very,
I just can't mention all of them.
exactly. But, you know, on behalf of the administration and me personally, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for everything that you've done, teaching us and in imparting your knowledge and expertise, and also being there as a person, as a friend when I need it. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, we have presentations to the Board of Trustees. One, we have a special check by the Education Foundation of Mission CISD. Mr. Verdi?
Actually, I'm just going to play the lovely assistant. Hiram Brigette is going to speak on behalf of the Education Foundation and with this special presentation.
Good evening, y'all. Good evening, board. For those that have never met me, my name is Hiram Brigette. I work for the school district, but also take a role in the Education Foundation board. And I have Ms. Rogers here, another board member. And today we have a gift to Mission CISD for $10,000. We do it every year. You should be up here. She is basically part of the board also, and this is for the backpacks and supplies that we do every year. We've done this now, this is the fourth year, Craig?
No,
No.
50.
Fifth year that we do $10,000 to the, we used to call the back to school bash. So now we're just doing the backpacks and supplies. So as we continue, and again, it's not only the directors, and I know Dr. Perez and Mrs. Rogers, it's basically our staff that helps us out, the entire school staff, from custodians to what have you, bus drivers, food service people. Ms. Rogers and myself go out there and get pledge cards. That's the way we worked it this past year, and we were able to raise some money, and our fund balance is good. And I know you're all talking about finance. We're over $100,000 right now, and this is the 6th year. I'm trying to get bigger, but it's all only to our staff and the events that we have. And I think you participated on the last one, the golf tournament, and this is part of the money that we raised for this.
And also for the scholarships
And
that were
scholarship,
provided.
yeah. We
For
do.
teach staff
Correct.
and students.
Correct. And we're gonna have the target date coming up in August, where we take kids and dress them about 60. We do about 40 families and their kids, we dress them from head to toe with all their clothes, and we're gonna do it again. We kind of use about almost $8,000 worth to buy them their clothes for the year at that. So that's our next event coming up. And then at the same time, we're gonna try to see, we have a entertainment, a concert coming up at that point in time. And I kind of want to welcome you to come and be with us at all times. You don't need an invitation. If you hear something or something, come and join us. It's open door. We don't have nothing that we're out there hiding. It's an open door. Y'all can come, you can participate, you can be part of them, sit there and listen to the meetings that we have. It's open to you.
Yes.
Dr. Perez?
Yes, well, we'll make sure that we send the flyers out with plenty of time in advance.
Correct.
I know this year with COVID and everything, it was a little bit rushed because once the governor opened things and so forth, so I know that you all, worked fast to get the golf tournament. But with plenty of time, everything will be planned like in the past, which was very methodical and very systematically.
And thank you, Dr. Perez, for allowing me to work with the foundation at the same time. Ms. Rogers?
I've given each of the board members a list of what I have used in the past when I go talk to the teachers that explains a little bit about what we do. I hope that, like, for those of you that brand new, especially didn't know anything about what foundation does. So I hope that that paper will give you information that now you can ask more questions because now you have a little bit more knowledge than what you had before. And yes, come and join us. That's, I give a lot of credit to the teachers because when we go out there and talk to the teachers, they fill out a form and they tell us, well, this lady here, 2 years ago, a year ago.
You don't have to talk about it, please.
Oh, I do, because I think it's very important. Now we ask the teachers, how much can you give? If you can only give me $1 a month, that's great. It'll grow into $12. It'll buy something. But at the end of the principals meeting, I think it was 2 years ago, I've lost track with all of this stuff. I said, anybody that wants to donate, raise your hand. If you want to, and I was talking about going to Target and how much I got to go the first time that I went. And the family, whoever was helping said, Ms. Rogers, take this family. And it had 2 boys and 2 girls. And so I went with them and I said, well, what do you want? What are your needs? And the young man said, yo quiero pantalones.
Blue jeans.
Okay, yeah, they wanted blue jeans, the nice, sexy jeans, he called it. And I said, well, let's head that way.
And they were at Target.
And then we were at Target, so I go and the girls said, well, we'll go to the girls area. Okay, so I followed the girls and I said, well, what do you want? Oh, I want panties, I want socks, I want bras, and lots of pretty clothes. And they had a credit card of $100 limit. So I said, okay. So I stayed with the girls and one of the girls says, I want pantalon blanco, uno verde, uno, jeans, they come in different colors. And I said, okay. So I put them on my arm and I said, okay, how much do you think I have here? And the young lady says, pues, no sé. And I said, well, you don't need that many, let's just get a few. And then we can go home and wash them. And she looked at me and she said, usted no sabe. Tenemos que ir a pagar para poder lavar los pantalones. Usted no, probablemente tiene. So talk about being this small. Kids are smart. And like I told her, I said, well, okay, you've got a good point. Yes, I do have a washer. I do have a dryer, and I'm very blessed to have that. So we are touching the kids that have sacrificed a lot. They have nothing at home. They need money to go and do everything that they do. So I learned a great deal that day. So Mrs. Rogers said, okay, we'll just leave them in the basket. So we check out and the gentleman says, okay, that's $100. I said, go ahead and add this differently. So I ended up putting about $150 out of my pocket. But my heart sure felt good that day, that I'd done something for somebody that, when I was that age, I always wore hand-me-downs because I was the only girl in my family. And I felt like a princess. I didn't know any better. Things are very different now. So that I might need it, that $150, but I know that this family needed it more than I did. So it takes a lot. It's shopping with kids was really interesting. You learn a lot. Sorry to give you my back, guys.
No worries.
That's it. That's all I want to say. But anyway, no, I didn't finish about this lady. So I said, if anybody wants to donate extra for anything, let me know. So this lady's in the very back, your first year that you were here. I think. You were at the very back of the principal's meeting. I don't remember. Anyway, she's
Second year.
second year. She says, well, I'm going to write a check for $100, for $300. You said for $300. She walked up and gave it to
Okay, I didn't say how much. I didn't, I
Yes, I
never said
remember
how
that.
much.
No, she didn't say how
I
much, and
never said how
and let me, and she
never said how
did,
much.
and she donated, and then other people started
Well,
donating.
I challenged the principals and
Correct.
the assistant
Yes.
principal. I didn't say how much I was
Okay.
donating.
Correct.
That's very
But
good.
I challenged, I said, look, it takes $200. It really takes about $200 to buy, what they need. I said, so let's think about, how blessed we are and how many kids can we bless? And we're not, and you don't have to cover one child yourself. Whatever you can give will add up. Okay? So I said, I never said how much. I said, here it
She
is.
gave me a check and other
And-
principals followed.
Okay, and then everybody started providing.
Yes.
By the time we knew it, we had like 40 more
Yeah.
kids.
It's correct.
Yes. So
And not 100, but like 200.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so,
it's-
yes, so we have to be grateful for what we have
Amen.
and, pay forward.
Yes.
Okay.
And here's a $10,000 that we're gonna use, and he's got the real check somewhere. Did you lose it already? No, you better not. And thank you all.
Dr. Pettis,
Take a picture.
down here, we'll do a quick picture.
Bank and Civil Department.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably will. Get on that
Yeah, I'll pick it up. Oh, why am I?
You can do that and we'll just stay here.
Yeah, we're
Kind of gather up, make sure that Craig can see all of us.
Okay.
Your mask.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
so we
Yes,
can
ma'am,
show some.
yes.
For your thing.
Show your teeth.
Take yours off your ear. There you go.
My ear.
Perfect. And 1, 2, 3. We do one more. 1, 2, 3. Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We need
A
a
real camera.
No, it's because we need to get $300.
Put it in your wallet. In your wallet, that's it.
We will not be doing our traditional bash again this year due to everything that's been going on, but it will be that we got from the foundation, the Chamber of Commerce, and through our Missions CISD Deals program, able to buy about 4,000 to 5,000 backpacks that we're still going to be able to provide students that will distribute to the campuses, and then they will
Distribute.
appropriate that need those.
Very good.
We even have clubs that donate. I know Lions Club donates for the backpacks also. So
Oh, yes.
community
yes.
involvement in that.
Chamber of
Yes,
Commerce.
there you go.
There's so many. Checks are gonna be coming in.
Yeah, good. Okay. Update on the group self-funded health insurance?
Yes, good evening, Madam President, Board Superintendent, members of the audience. At this time, we have Staff Gingrich, our insurance consultant, and he's going to provide the board with an update on the self-insurance plan. That, I did distribute the presentation to you. We're not going to put it on the screen because of HIPAA and privacy issues, and then recording items.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. I'm sorry, my phone cut off there. But good evening, board, Madam President, Dr. Perez. As Ms. Garcia had mentioned, tonight we have a couple of items to address on the self-insurance plan. The presentation, as mentioned, due to HIPAA purposes, we are keeping it on paper only. But on the second page of the presentation in the packet, we have our table of contents of the items that we wanted to quickly address this evening. We are going to look at the plan utilization and the financial impact that COVID-19 has had for this year in 2021. We are going to look at a quick overview of the stop loss review with a recommendation on an RFP. We are going to analyze the increased funding that was approved by the board. And then lastly, we're going to address some opportunities for cost saving through a number of ways in plan design, as well as the pharmacy program with the formulary and drug list. So page 3, quickly, we did want to show a 6-year trend of where the health plan has incurred claims both medically and on the pharmacy side. Obviously, with 2020 and some of the unique years that we've had in 2018, 2019, there has been some fluctuation in this trend. The 5-year average, however, though, is aligning with the industry and the overall increase the healthcare cost of about 9%. We are seeing this within the area and really Texas in general. 9 to 12% increase is typically what we see, and that is a blended increase between the medical and the pharmacy trend that we're seeing. On page 4, we did want to address quickly a little bit of what is referred to as the medical order reduction. Basically, what we're looking at on this top left-hand graph is you'll see May 2020, but more importantly, we're going to see a side-by-side year comparison of October 2019 to May 2020 and October 2020 to currently May 2021. So we are going to look at these side-by-side. One of the main increases that we are seeing is that top portion there on the billed portion. That is up at 7.1% increase. So the overall charges being submitted from the providers, from the healthcare systems, is at an upward trend. A lot of this is contributed to the landscape we saw in 2020. With COVID, there was, as everyone will remember, the governor did shut down elective surgeries and procedures, which led to a decrease in utilization. Members weren't using the plan, they weren't using their providers as much, and if they were, it was virtual. So we saw a natural decrease. As we saw things to begin to reopen towards the back half of last year and the beginning half of this year, we did see an increased utilization, as to be expected, that people are getting back out there to go visit their physician, get their exams, et cetera. So seeing a 7.1% trend, it is within the norm that we're seeing that employers of all different sizes, districts, as well as commercial employers are seeing an increase in the plan utilization. The medical reduction goes down from there. One of the good things, positive, that we're seeing with your current administrator with Blue Cross Blue Shield is your discounts are up at 28%. So although we're seeing an increase in billed amount, again, as to be expected with utilization, we're seeing Blue Cross Blue Shield continue to aggressively discount the claims at 28% increase. So we did want to quickly note that as well. The page 5, we do want to quickly address what is referred to your medical out-of-pocket expenses. Essentially, what this graph is showing us is where your employees and their dependents are using the health insurance. This is your out-of-pocket, which is a portion of the Affordable Care Act that regulates compliance in your medical out-of-pocket. So it does include deductible expenses as well as the co-pays at both the doctor and the pharmacy. So from this illustration, you'll see there that about 47% of your total population is using less than $100 of the health plan. Very typically in this trend, and what we see that is the major expenses are typically driven by a minor part of the population. But when we get to addressing plan design changes, this gives us a little bit of ground to stand on when we're looking at the utilization is what are your members using? Are they using the co-pays? Are they using it to go to their physician, stay compliant, and possibly generic medication for maintenance type conditions? Typically, that's what we see, and the plan does seem to be falling in par with that. Even beyond there, members, you have 19% of your population using just between $100 and $200. So well over 50% of your population is using less than $200 worth of medical expenses throughout the year. We'll see down there at the bottom that there is a number of employees that are past the threshold that would be deductibles, typically around the $750 to the $1,000, $2,000 with the current health plans. So there is members that are utilizing the plan, but as to be expected, which is what the health insurance is for. Page 6, this is going to be a quick snapshot of the financial impact that COVID-19 has had on the health plan. As we are all very aware that COVID-19 was obviously a financial burden to the health plan. It is accounting for about 8% of your total claims this past year, close to actually 9%. So when we're looking at a 9% trend that we're seeing, and then you throw on a top of additional 9% of claims that we didn't have to experience in 2018, 17, 16, and so forth, it is financially impacting the plan due to claims. Testing, as everyone is aware, with the government's order, was to be covered at no out-of-pocket cost as well as the treatment. So we did see quite the expenses with $232,000 there in the left-hand side corner of COVID testing alone. So this was members throughout the year going to get their tested, whether it's PCR, rapid, antibody, et cetera. We did incur also $250,000 in testing claims. On the right-hand side, you'll see that there's close to $924,000 worth of COVID-19 treatments. So this is going to include inpatient, outpatient, hospital stays, et cetera. So again, total claims accounting for about 9% of your total claims, not including COVID-19. So again, we just wanted to reiterate on the trend that we're seeing within the industry as a whole, and then factoring in the impact that COVID-19 has had, which of course is unavoidable, but nonetheless has been a financial impact for the health plan. I would like to pause right there. Is there any questions on the utilization or what we've been seeing from year to year?
Kind of hard.
I will move on to page 7 then, which is the second item on the agenda that we wanted to address this evening. And this is with your stop loss insurance. As a quick reminder, stop loss insurance is behind the scenes a financial mechanism to control costs for each plan member as well as the district as a whole. The stop loss insurance is set to renew on October 1st. And currently what the premium that you are paying for your stop loss insurance is $32.50 per employee. As I mentioned, the medical administrator is Blue Cross Blue Shield. This is the network, the doctors, the medications that your employees have access to. But Companion Life is actually the financial protection behind the scenes on a very larger scale, not felt at the member level. The stop loss insurance does cap the liability at the district per employee, which is currently at $556.61 per employee, again, total liability. Give or take enrollment, the projected annual stop loss premium is close to $1 million at $804,000, with year-to-date stop loss reimbursement through April at $45,000, which is expected to increase throughout the year. So that $45,000 does offset the expense of the $804,000, and again, we expect that to increase as we finish out our plan year on through October 1st. To date, the stop loss premium and liability is directly decided by the stop loss carrier and calculated in addition to our efforts and negotiations and our underwriting. But ultimately, the liability and premium is established by the stop loss carrier. That is why we do recommend that we go out for a stop loss RFP to ensure competitive pricing on all fronts. The positive with your stop loss insurance is there is a number of markets out there, 15 to 16 plus different stop loss carriers that could provide proposal to again ensure competitive pricing. To date, we are expecting about a 9% increase in the stop loss premium, looking at an annual premium of $804,000. That's projected, give or take, enrollment of about $70,000 decrease. The good news is we are going to see a decrease in your administration contract from Blue Cross Blue Shield, which is going to date, looks like it's going to be about an $81,000 savings. So it's projected to offset that increase of 9% and $72,000 that we're seeing. But again, that is why it is our recommendation this evening that we do conduct a stop loss RFP to be posted as soon as tomorrow and advertised through the beginning part of July. We have prepared the stop loss RFP. The documentations are ready. So with approval, it is again our recommendation that we go ahead and advertise for stop loss insurance just to ensure competitive pricing. Again, from your employees' perspective and their dependents, there is no disruption because it is all behind the scenes, simply for financial protection for the district. From there, on page 8, we did want to quickly address, I know this has been presented to the board a number of times, the increased funding, the recommendation of 10%. This was due to the reflection of the increase in trend that we're seeing, as well as some of the increase in financial impact that we're seeing from COVID-19. So this is a quick annualized 2021 increased funding and what that would be projected there on the right-hand side on 2022 annualized the projected funding for the health plan. Currently, district does contribute $409.24 for the base plan for every employee. The employees do have the option to purchase additional or buy up to lower deductibles and copays and pay the difference from that base contribution of $409.25. With a 10% increase, that contribution of $409.25 would increase to $450.18 in the fiscal year that's coming up in 2021 to 2022. Moving to page 9 for consideration, I know these are some items that we have addressed in the past. In addition to a competitive stop-loss RFP process, there is alternatives to help reduce the healthcare cost that the plan is costing the district. This can be accomplished by alternative plan designs that are being illustrated here currently. So as mentioned, there is 3 plans: the high deductible health plan, the base plan, and the high plan. The high deductible health plan is your base plan of the $1,750 deductible and a 70% coinsurance after the deductible. All three plans do contain copays at the doctor's office, the pharmacy, the urgent care, and the emergency room, which does allow your employees minimum out-of-pocket expenses when utilizing the plan. So when they do go to the doctor, they have a fixed copay and aren't surprised with balance bills or any form of additional expenses at the doctor's office. So the copays do allow the plans to be very rich plans, but with that cost and effect, it does cost the district money with these copays. Alternatives are listed there in red. This would simply be increasing some of these copays and as well as the deductibles. The copay is relatively minor by $5, and there at the bottom we do see what that financial impact would be for the district. So we would see a decrease of the percentages per each plan. We did break out the claims expenses per plan, and then what that would be collectively total projected savings with the with all 3 plan design changes. It is a la carte, so we can choose one plan over the other. The good news is there still is options for employees to find a health plan that fits the needs of their family and their healthcare needs. Still, by offering 3 plans, you are allowing for options. Another option when working with administration and Ms. Garcia last week is addressing the emergency room copay. As we have illustrated and reviewed in previous meetings, that the utilization of the ER typically is on the more expensive side, both for your employees and the district. For your employees' perspective, they are paying a higher copay and required for co-insurance for a relatively more expensive expense. Emergency rooms, if they can be reserved for true emergencies, typically will be a financial advantage for both employees and the district. By increasing ER copays, it really incentivizes employees to start utilizing the more cost-effective for themselves and the district, such as urgent care, your telemedicine, mini clinics, and just their PCP if possible. So there is alternatives to urgent, immediate care where an appointment is not needed. And by addressing a higher copay, the emergency room typically will naturally progress employees to utilize more cost-effective facilities, again, both for themselves with lower copays as well as for the health plan itself. Page 10 and 11 are going to address the pharmacy drug list. This is the second alternative to help the district save some additional expenses on pharmaceutical claims. Several years the district did increase or change the formulary, or the drug list is what is called the formulary, to what's referred to as the balanced formulary. From there, Blue Cross Blue Shield has 2 additionally managed drug lists. Essentially what these drug lists are going to do are focus employees on utilizing 1, generics, 2, over-the-counter medications if available, and 3, utilizing the medications from the manufacturer that they have the deepest discounts. Every pharmacy benefit manager has contracts with different manufacturers, different discounts, etc. So by utilizing a more managed drug list, what it does is it does not exclude employees from utilizing the clinically FDA-approved medications, but instead doesn't encourage them to utilize the medications that are driving the deepest discounts with the various manufacturers. So the next step from the balanced drug list is called the Performance Select. What we would see there is an estimated savings down there at the bottom. And again, this is from a number of different ways, but again, includes higher generic utilization, encourages over-the-counter utilization, and driving employees to the medications where it has the deepest discounts. Page 10 is the exact same concept, but just with the most highly managed drug list that the pharmacy benefit manager, Blue Cross and Prime have, and this is referred to as the Performance Select. The estimated savings from here we'll see almost nearly doubles, but it does, again, accomplish the utilization management programs as well as utilizing the medications that have the strongest discounts. I did want to show the last page. We did review this in the last meeting, but this was the cost and financial impact that the plan received after the board approved the balanced drug list of a cost avoidance of about $638,000. It did increase our rebate value that we were getting, so the overall value that we saw in this change was about $862,000. When working with administration, the reporting was that there was next to no disruption. Employees were still getting access to the medications they needed. What it did is simply manage the formulary to where they were utilizing the high clinically valued drugs, but also driving the deepest discounts. So it was a win-win in this situation, and these items presented tonight are down the similar concept or thought process of managing that drug list a little further to either the Performance Select or the Performance to even achieve greater cost savings from the pharmacy plan. From there, I would open up to any questions or comments.
I have a question. Mr. Gingrich, I know I'm kind of new at this, but is there a way of knowing our mission employees, which plan they usually get, or the most common, which is the common?
I don't have that data here. So we have 3 plans. We have the high deductible plan, and 47% of our employees are on the high deductible employee only, which again, the employee pays for that one a premium of $25.50 a month. So 47% of our employees are there. On the high deductible employee and children, we have 12%. On the high deductible employee spouse, we have 1%. Our high deductible employee family, we have 5%. I can break it down also by numbers. I don't really want the numbers of the employees.
No, I just wanted to know where we usually.
So on the base plan, on the employee only, we have 17% of our employees, and that cost is $39.93 to the employee on a monthly basis. And on the high plan employee only, we have 10% of our employees there, and they pay $103.98. On the high plan for the family, we have just 5 employees. So our utilization, our enrollment is in the high deductible plan. We're talking about more than close to 65% of them.
Okay, and is this plans accepted all around? Are they, knowing that coverage that they have, the Blue Cross Blue Shield?
Yes, at this point, 169 employees in the district are not in the insurance plan. Since we've had since we've gone self-insured back in
very high.
They're pretty happy with the plans. We've had no disruption, minimal issues with the plan whatsoever. They're pretty happy with the preferred pharmacy. They're happy with the design and the prescription, even though last year we tightened the prescriptions and we saved the district around $608,000 here in place for the employees' prescriptions. But we do a lot of education, making sure that they talk to their doctors and see if generics are available and they're okay with that. So employees are pretty satisfied with the plan. It's pretty rich in comparison to other school districts. So it's been very favorable.
Do you know out of the 169, how many of them have insurance with their spouse? Because many of them won't take ours because they have coverage with their spouse.
Correct. I don't have that number.
They don't have it. Okay.
I can certainly research it and
Okay.
for you. The only thing I got is 169 that don't.
Yeah, exactly. But I have heard some of them,
Probably the reason, yeah.
if their husband for the government.
Correct.
Do you know of any other school district that has lower deductibles? Because, I can see the deductible they're so high,
So, as we look across, the other schools.
I mean, not only do they have it low deductible, but the same coverage that they need, you know? I mean, because you can go low, but then you're not gonna have anything either.
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
the deductible seem to be real high.
The trend has been going up and up every year. I've seen it. Because it's cheaper. The question is the.
We're comparable.
Is that the recommendation for the alternatives?
That's what these are in your direction. As Zach, this is an update to you, but I wanted to ask the board some direction if you would like for us to explore the cost saving option.
Think we need.
Always.
Okay.
Yeah, just so we can have a comparison. If we have a comparison, we can make a better choice or a decision.
Correct.
Be a good idea.
We can start exploring and presenting. We did a comparison among school districts. Mission CISD is very rich. Source plan, and the district is paying $409.25 per month, which is pretty reasonable in comparison to other school districts who looked around, like PSJ per month, they fund $640 per month. West Local is $582. So we're doing well. It's been a challenge with the COVID-19, as Zach was saying, we incurred $984,000 in claims just because of COVID testing and treatment.
And as part of the proposal for the next year's budget, you're going to see that presented to you as what we want to do in contribution, employer contribution for our employees, for the health plan as well.
But that will only be one for 1 year, right?
Well, yes.
After that, they're gonna be on their own.
Yeah.
It stays pretty much the same as to where they would have to pay the high deductible.
Exactly. And we can bring that comparison to you all because that's pretty much what's out there in the market, but we'll bring it to you. Definitely.
And that increase is suggested is gonna bring revenues about $1 million, which will help us with all the COVID treatment that the plan has. So that's very fair. So yes, we will look at those options and we'll bring you the comparisons as we go forward. Again, the plan year is expected October 1st.
Good
So we
time.
have some time
Good
to
time.
brainstorm.
And make a wise decision, not just,
Absolutely.
comparing it.
And we're also gonna look at the RFPs for the costs, right?
Absolutely.
Went out for
So
business.
we actually are gonna post these this Thursday.
Okay.
Post it, we'll be back. We will back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Ms. Luz.
Okay, the next item, number 3, presentation regarding ESSER III updates, and that is going to be led by Ms. Garcia and Dr. Roberts. And then again, remember, it's been a total team effort. We spent a lot of time working on it, but those are their areas. So they're going to be presenting. And as you will recall, we did more than 15 stakeholder meetings. We did surveys of parents. All of our staff was also surveyed. And then we also utilized the open responses. So based on all that data, this is what we were able to put together.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, and Madam Superintendent. Today, we're going to talk about our research and our financial plan for the ESSER III funds. And as a reminder, as we have been discussing in the various board presentations and community presentations, the purpose and intent for the American Rescue Plan and ESSER III funding is to help school districts safely reopen, as well as maintain safe operation and address the impacts of the coronavirus pandemic on students. The school districts are to use these funds to respond to the pandemic and to address student learning loss as a result of COVID-19. This financial plan was developed, as Dr. Perez mentioned, with many presentations with stakeholder input during those presentations. Some of them were virtual, some of them were also in person. And then we also issued a parent survey that had various questions regarding the allowable uses for the funding. And parents were asked to, staff were asked to rank those needs as priorities. And then we also had an open-ended question where they could submit any type of response. The surveys were in English and Spanish. And we, as a team, with the help of technology department, they combined the data for us and our clerical staff put that together, and the executive leadership team with Dr. Perez, we combed through all those responses. And based on those responses, we categorized them in the different allowable expenses. And the financial plan was then created based on that input. Mission CISD was allocated by the federal government and TEA $68,846,682. The initial allocation will come in at a 2/3 allotment of $45,897,788. And then once approved by the state, they will release the remaining 1/3 allocation of the $22,948,894. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Roberts, because she's going to address the most important components.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. And as you know, the 20% must go into learning loss. And so in brainstorming with our team and all the stakeholders, we had, as Dr. Pettis and Ms. Garcia alluded to, we had about 15 stakeholder groups, including principals, assistant principals, teachers. And so in combining everything, we've come up with a list of ideas and things that they have requested as part of the study. Yes. So
and if I can add, the stakeholder groups included custodians, transportation, the parent advisory committee, the student advisory council, chamber of commerce, Lions, and so forth.
Absolutely.
All community. The safety committee, and that is also made up of the municipalities, personnel, and so forth.
Exactly. And for the most part, the recurring themes were, to help close the learning loss that we know we've incurred. And so the elementaries, at each elementary campus, we do have one interventionist. Currently, they're requesting a second interventionist, either one for upper grades and one for lower grades. We do know that we have a big gap now in mathematics. So usually we would see that in reading language arts, but the gap we've seen now is in mathematics. And that makes sense because the kids, even though they were going through COVID, they would be reading, doing their assignments, but in math, they really needed more of the direct teach. So the elementaries are requesting one more interventionist, so that would be 14 interventionists for a total of $2,730,000. Then in looking at tutors and team teachers, which was another big need, and if we remember that these are over the 3-year period, so it would be divided by 3. Okay, so for an annual cost. So with the $4.2 million that we're requesting for tutors and team teachers, that would be for all levels. We're looking at probably around 6 at each high school, 3 at each junior high, and 2 at each elementary, more or less, is what we were looking at. And that would be also because of the learning loss in language arts and mathematics, and probably some of the other content areas. In elementary, we had added the Capturing Kids' Hearts, which is the social emotional learning. So that would be $1 million over the 3 years. We would like to, further in the agenda, I'll be presenting something on universal pre-K-3. And so if the board approves that, we would need about 7 teachers to have universal pre-K 3-year-old program for a cost of about $1.365 million, $1,365,000.
And if I may add, right now, the pre-K-3 children that we have are those that meet the eligibility criteria, which would be low socioeconomics, limited English proficient, were part of foster care, their parents are in the military, or their parents were hurt in the military, or they received one of the, the medal of honor because they were in the military. So so it's 3-year-olds that come to us have to meet that criteria. However, we know that there's a lot of children that need the support. So with this funding, it will open it up to all 3-year-olds, no matter the need. And that's critical for early literacy because, parents may have, excellent jobs, but who's taking care of the children? Could be a nanny that's not really stimulating the child. So this is critical for us.
And I'm sure you will recall that we're going to be implementing the fueling grants next school year for pre-K3 for kinder and some campuses up to second grade. And part of that is that 90% of the child's brain develops before the age of 5. So we need to capture them as early as possible to start that critical thinking and helping to develop that brain. So that's another reason we're really looking forward to possibly having the universal pre-K3 program. The other thing that we know that we are in dire need of are additional at-risk counselors at the high schools. Because like right now, at each high school, we only have one at-risk counselor, and they have over 1,000 students each. And so one of the things that we know is that they try really hard and do an outstanding job, but they're very short as to being able to provide more one-on-one help and guidance for the students. So with the ESSER funds, we would like to have an additional at-risk counselor in each of the comprehensive high schools. The Summit K through 12 is a program, and sometimes y'all have probably heard about that through bilingual, and that is for our EL students. It has been a very successful program that our bilingual director brought in when she came in. But what we try to do is integrate it into the classroom instruction. We're really feeling that in secondary, about 36% of our students are ELs. And so we really need to take those students and just really be more intensive with them. So we would like a paraprofessional to be able to pull out those children and work with them on the Summit K through 12. That is a big part of our accountability. And so when we get into domain 3, every campus is eligible for 1 point, and that 1 point makes a big difference for us. And so we're hoping that having this extra support, not only for the accountability, but for the students themselves and as English learners, to be able to build success and to get on the right track for their education. So there we were requesting 6 paraprofessionals, 1 for each of the secondary campuses, the 4 junior highs and the 2 comprehensive high schools. Then of course we know that we're needing intervention resources. Right now we've submitted for solicitation for intervention programs for our elementary and junior high. And so that we'll be bringing that to the board in August. They're out for bid right now. But we need intervention resources because what we've done in the past is we create our own, but we really need something that's more systemic, that we can really do progress monitoring and really be targeting every student that needs that. We do feel that whereas we've in the past have most of our kids are on tier 1, you have your tier 2 that we need to do a smaller group, and then tier 3 even smaller. We're thinking that after the COVID gap, most of our kids will be in tier 2 instruction, so we're really going to have to be targeting that. And I know we can make those gains. We just need the resources to be able to do that. And again, and that would be around $1 million over 3 years. Then we would like an after-school enrichment type program where the kids would stay and they would get enrichment. Embedded in that enrichment would also be academic learning. And so they would have tutoring, and the state is saying that some of this intensive tutoring needs to be 3 students to 1 adult. And then also do things that are kind of fun and engaging that help with the academics. So that would be $2,349,337. Are there any questions on the 13 million or the 20% of the extra funds for learning loss? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, the next most popular topic on the survey was improving compensation. So one of the things that we are proposing is that the district board of trustees consider approving a retention stipend for our staff, because we have seen quite a bit of retirements and resignations as a result of COVID. And right now we are filling positions at a very high pace. So we'd like to keep our staff. We are proposing a $2,000 retention stipend for all staff in the 2021 and 2022 school year. And then for the subsequent years, 2022 and 2023 and 2023-24, we are proposing a $1,000 retention stipend. So the total for the retention stipend would be 9.4 million that we would like to set aside for those purposes. The allowable activity that this would fall under would be maintaining operation and services provided by the district to include continuing to employ existing staff or hiring new staff. As you recall, those were one of the 15 activities that is allowable for the use of ESSER funds. The next popular topic was improving indoor air quality in our facilities. And we are estimating 28,500,000 to be reserved to address the needs. Several years ago, the district did an assessment and an estimated cost of improving the district facility HVAC systems was about 30 million. Keep in mind that the district is also eligible for ESSER II funds. We're just waiting to hear back from TEA what that final amount will be, and that can also be utilized for indoor air quality upgrades. This will get us to accomplish quite a bit of work in that area. Under operations, there are several things that we can address. We are proposing $2 million to develop strategies to implement CDC public health protocols that would help maintain the safety and health of students and staff. Also provide training on sanitizing, that was another allowable use. Purchase supplies and equipment to clean our district facilities. Improving and or repairing the facilities to reduce the risk of the transmission of COVID-19. And some of these things would entail hiring additional custodians, for example, to clean our buildings. They're now having to pick up a lot of more extra work. And as we have more kids in our buildings, there's going to be a greater need for that. In addition to that, within operations, we have our transportation department. So the physical distancing will necessitate to purchase additional buses and bus drivers and bus monitors. So some of that funding is set aside for that, as well as purchasing sanitizing equipment and supplies. So those are some of those examples. In the health and safety, as well as mental health, we're allocating a little bit over 2 million in our plan to, of course, improve our response efforts, which would be continue with the vaccination clinics, the COVID-19 testing, hiring staff, additional nurses. In a subsequent board item, I will be presenting the various positions that administration is recommending to hire, including 4 additional licensed vocational nurses to assist at the campuses, and also to continue the task of the vaccination as they release permission to vaccinate younger kids. We're going to have a greater need to implement that to continue, as well as if for some reason we have to go back and get a booster shot. So that project will need to continue. We're also requesting a emergency response and preparedness specialist, someone that can oversee the safety aspects of the COVID-19 pandemic processes. In addition to that, in mental health, we are recommending one of the things that was asked for in the surveys. We did get a lot of requests for additional licensed professional counselors and social workers. So we are recommending employing 2 more LPCs, and that's going to be for the elementaries to kind of free up the current ones that we have to focus on the secondary schools. And then we're recommending employing 3 social workers that would assist the LPCs with the casework and provide that support to our families. And then other allowable uses, we did get quite a bit of requests from the elementaries to upgrade the playground equipment, because of course it helps our children, be outdoors, exercise. They need that release as well. So we're allocating 600,000 for that. For fine arts, we have a need to continue purchasing instruments and equipment so that there isn't any sharing amongst the students. And also we would like to purchase uniforms for dance and cheer, because this would encourage more students to participate, especially those that their families find it difficult to purchase the uniforms.
And if I may add, one thing is that for the playground equipment, that amount may not be sufficient. However, we're waiting for the ESSER II funding and then we'll supplement.
Yeah, because that's for
Exactly.
in schools. I mean, elementaries is,
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
so we know we're gonna supplement there.
And even the fine arts seems low.
Absolutely, exactly. Now, but
To athletics,
absolutely, but we needed to prioritize the items that the feds and TA, they may not even approve this, but we'll see. But we think because of the outdoors, but with the ESSER funding, we'll be able to put more in there.
thank you.
For athletics, that number is $5 million because it includes some big ticket items. We have been having some issues recently with our baseball and softball fields. And we've been looking at the possibility of improving the irrigation system in there or possibly coming in with a turf. So that's why that number is high there for the high schools. And at the junior high, we are currently working on track improvement projects. So we'd like to use some of that funding to upgrade the junior high track facilities. Mission Collegiate is the only school that does not have either a gymnasium or a pavilion. They do have a cafeteria that is a multi-purpose center, but however, there's times that that's in use and they can't use it for PE. So we are recommending allotting $1 million to construct that. This would also provide them an additional space where they could further distance the children and provide them with that exercise activity. In addition to that, the grant does allow us to allocate for indirect costs to reimburse the district, and that's $6 million. And then this is, in summary, this is a chart that summarizes the things that we've talked about. So that is the breakdown of the 68.8 million.
Now, as soon as we receive more information on ESSER II, we'll bring it to the board because what TA provided some information several weeks ago that looking at ADA, if our ADA was going to be too low, then they would go with hold harmless. However, our ADA is pretty good, so that means that TA will not be taking away as much as it seemed like it. So we should be getting some ESSER funding to be able to supplement what we're doing.
Is there an estimate, Dr. Pettis, of how much the district will be receiving on?
Yes.
ESSER II, we've been allocated approximately 30 million. However, we don't know what the final number will be once TA takes their cut.
Yes, TA from ESSER III took 10%. We haven't heard, and from ESSER I, they took everything, okay? They gave us the federal, but they took away the state. So we're waiting to hear what the rules are gonna be. But we believe that it's going to be very promising.
Good. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna just set up for the next presentation.
Yeah, go ahead. Now, now we're going to be looking at discussion and possible action. Again, consideration and approval of the 21-22 compensation plan. And again, we've worked together as a team. And Ms. Garcia, because HR is one of her divisions as well, she will be presenting a compensation plan. And I believe that some of the pieces were shared during the board workshop, but we continue to work on it. And we also have some considerations for you because we do need some feedback as well. coming up?
Yeah, I'm gonna share.
I can type? Okay.
I'm sharing. Okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Right. And in your desks, you have a copy of the compensation plan as we discussed in the previous board meeting. Again, the red highlighted information are the changes. It contains not only the pay scales, but also the stipend information. I wanted to give you all a history of Mission CISD pay raises. This chart provides a history of the teacher pay raises. The last 2 years, the district has provided some generous pay raises, in part due to the savings that have been done through attrition on closing vacancies as people would leave, and also with the help of House Bill 3. So in 1920, as you can see, teachers received one of the highest raises in the past decade, 2,500 for years 1 to 5, and then
Ms. Garcia, you're covering what's on the screen, right? On our screen right now.
on the screen, correct.
Okay.
And then 4,000 for teachers 6 years and up. And the state started requiring that we differentiate if we had an increase in revenue to differentiate between the years. But that's something that we had already started doing because we noticed that in the teacher pay, as you would climb the level of experience, we would see a dip in the salaries. There was a compression. So this was something that we wanted to address, that compression, to bring those salaries, close that gap between market rate and what we were paying. So in 2021, we took that into consideration. What were the years that needed most improvement? And it was over 10 years of experience. So you see that those pay raises were a little higher. So we had 1,470 for years 1 to 5. And then for years 6 to 9, 1,750. For 10 to 12, we had 2,350, and 13 and up, we also had 2,470.
And if I may add, one of the things that I talked to the board even during my interview was the fact that the data showed that we had a 12% turnover rate of our teachers. And in looking at our peers, depending on the jobs, we were at number 7, number 8, and number 9. And I don't know if you got to see that article a week ago or so, in the paper, it stated that we were at number 2. And the fact of the matter, it's taken a lot of work, but a lot of support. And even other school districts are saying that their neighboring school districts have given robust salary increases. But the reason we did this was to get up to market value, retain talent, and recruit talent because of the turnover rate. We were training the staff, but then they were leaving us. So that's why we had to cinch the belt and did all the studies that we needed to do to know where we had overages. Nobody lost jobs, but through attrition, we were able to save the money to be able to do this.
So as you can see in previous years, the raises were $1,000, in some cases, 1,500 for teachers. And then there was a couple of years back in 2011, 2010, where revenues were tight, not only here in Mission CISD, but across the state and other school districts. So those 2 years, no raises were provided. And for instructional assistants, teacher aides, clerical staff, auxiliary, as well as administrators, this is the history for the district. The last 2 years, in 1920, a generous raise was provided. It was 3% across the board for all hourly as well as administrators. And in 2021, we felt that we needed to recommend to the board that auxiliary salaries still were not where they needed to be. So a 4% increase was recommended for the auxiliary staff. In addition, we raised the bus driver hourly rate to $15.25 an hour, which ended up being the highest amongst our neighboring peers. We were leading in terms of bus driver pay. For instructional assistants, clerical, and administrators, the board approved a 2.5 increase. In years past, before that, most of the time, the raise was 2% across the board. In 14-15, it was 3% across the board. 13-14, 4% for instructional assistants, and then 3% for the other categories. And then again, in 11-12 and 10-11, there was no raises offered. This is a comparison of our neighboring districts and where we fall, where we are projecting to fall with our compensation plan. The green areas highlighted are who's in first right now for that category. And then the right column shows you where Mission CISD stands amongst our peers for the category. So in terms of teacher salary, right now we are the leader. As you can see, many of the districts are quite behind some of them. For example, we are proposing starting pay for 0 years experience to be $53,700. Whereas Sherryland ISD 49.5 is where they're at this past year, and they just announced their raises. However, they have not posted their compensation information. McAllen ISD just got approved for 51,000. So you see, there's a substantial difference between us. The one district that's just close to us would be Donna ISD at 53.5. And then PSJA, that is a district that traditionally has had a very high compensation. So last year we were about $120 away from number one, which is, not a bad spot. The disadvantage that we have, and I guess an advantage for them, is that their fiscal year starts in September. So they get to see what everybody else pays, and then they just up it
A little bit.
And that's how they beat. And then of course they're a lot bigger. They have a lot more students and so forth. For auxiliary pay, we are ranked number 2 currently, again, second only to PSJ. And as you can see, we are proposing the minimum starting pay for auxiliary. This would be entry level, which is our custodians, groundskeepers, bus monitors, and our CNP cooks at $11.45 an hour beginning pay new to the district. And then other districts are in the $10 range, 10, close to 11, not 11 yet. Don ISD is the closest one at $11 for this upcoming year. So even though they did give a generous increase on the teachers, they still have some work to do when it comes to auxiliary. PSJA again is the top rank on that at $12 an hour. For bus drivers, as I mentioned before, we are the highest, number 1. We were at $15.25, and we are proposing starting rate to be at $16 an hour, whereas other districts are still like $14.25. So you can see we provide quite a benefit to our staff. Clerical, we are number 1, tied with PSJ and Donna. The starting rate is being proposed at $12 an hour, whereas some other districts are 11, a little bit under 12. Then instructional paras, we are ranked number 2, only second to PSJA. We're proposing $12.30, and some of the other districts are still under 12, and that's on their new plans. For administrators, that's where we fall a little short. We do have La Jolla ISD, who really loves their administrators.
On camera?
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
$290 a day, so they're number 1. And then we have Sherryland at $257.23 for their starting. And then PSJ as well is higher than us. So we are proposing starting our pay grade 1 at $222.75. So that is the market comparison. So as you can see, as Dr. Pettis said, we've come a long way.
But this is for year one.
For you, pay grade one. What I compared is pay grade one. What TASB does is they take all of the pay grades in all the positions and they do that analysis for that. And then they'll tell us, tweak this one, tweak that one, and so forth. So I just wanted to give you an example of how we were at, 7, 8, 9 position, and now we're 1, 2.
Except in administrative.
Well, we've got a little bit of work to do there.
Yes.
And then our goal has been to, of course, closing the teacher pay gap. And as I showed you before, in 18-19, there was that big gap in years 5 and up. We were very strong on entry-level salaries, but then as the years progressed, we were falling behind the market. And then in 1920 and 2021, the work that we did got us to be above market. And then for 2021, the orange line is where we're at, and we are above market. However, we still have a little bit of work to do in year 15. You can see it's right at market. And these are the compensation plans that were approved in the last 2 years, which, I covered in the other chart. In the teacher salaries, year 15 is $104 below market. So it's not too bad, but still we want to be above market like in the other years. In 0, we're at 1,845 above market. So that's very competitive. We want to see that as well in the 15 years. So this is what we're proposing to fix that. We are proposing for 21-22 to offer teachers with 1 to 5 years experience, 1,450, which is equivalent to a 2.5% raise, 1,550 for teachers with 6 to 9 years, which is equivalent to 2.6%, and then 2,050 for years 10 and up, with which is 3.5% increase. And then, of course, the $2,000 retention stipend. And then for administrators and hourly staff, we are proposing, we have 2 options for hourly, which would be instructional assistants, clerical, and auxiliary. We're proposing that the board consider either a 2.5 with a $2,000 stipend or a 3.0, and we have the budget for both of those. For administrators, we are proposing a 2.5 with a $2,000 retention stipend. So here's the cost for option 1, which is the 2.5 for administrative, clerical, instructional support, and auxiliary. So that's a total of 3.5 million, which is the general pay increase, and then the equity adjustments. And then option 2, 2.5 for admin and 3.0 for clerical, instructional support, and auxiliary, which is ends up being 3.6 million total in cost. So the first recommendation, of course, is that we adopt a general pay increase to maintain our market position, as stated before. We can do the option 1 or the option 2 on the admin and the hourly, and the teachers, the 2.5, which is the 1,450 for years 1 to 5, the 6 to 9 years would be 1,550. For 10 plus would be 2,050. And these general pay increases are a percentage of the market median. For the other pay groups would be a percentage of their midpoint. So for 2021, just so you can see the difference, our starting teacher salary was 52,470, and we're now proposing 53,700. And then for the retention stipend, we are proposing the $2,000 retention stipend for all staff. And then it would be for employees as long as they're employed on a full-time basis, which is a minimum of 30 hours, because our bus drivers some of them do only 30 hours. That would be considered full-time as of September 3rd. And the reason we went into September, 1, because we're anticipating receiving the funding in September. And then two, to give time for, because in August, we do get a lot of new hires and we didn't want to leave them out. So $1,000 would be paid in September and $1,000 would be paid in the December payroll. So the cost for that stipend would be the $4,740,000, and that is being proposed to be paid out of ESSER III funds. The stipend, of course, would be contingent upon approval by, ESSER relief funds and allowability.
Okay, and one of the things is that the reason we're able to recommend an option of 2.5 or 3% is because, and then for the hourly, and then the administrators, they would be getting the stipend as well. So that's why, and 3% is very doable for us. Go ahead.
So the totals with the stipend and the general pay increase, option 1 is 8.2 million, and then option 2 is 8.375 million. There's a difference of $125,317. So recommendation number 3 is that we continue with the strong market salaries and then that they be aligned with the market. And then we had some discussions regarding auxiliary pay. Wanted to show you, this is in your book, not just for auxiliary, but for clerical, instructional paras, and administrators. One thing that the district has been doing for the past, this would be the 3rd year, is moving the scales up. So, for example, we're updating the scales. So last year, bus drivers were $15.25 an hour. We're now proposing to increase the starting rate to $16 an hour. This is the hiring scale. Not only does it help new employees coming to the district because they get hired at a higher rate, but it also helps our internal employees because their raise is calculated as a percentage of the midpoint. So if we move the midpoints up, then their raise will be calculated off of that higher hourly rate. So that's a benefit to our existing employees. So as you can see, as I just clipped a couple examples for you, this is auxiliary, and in every single pay grade, we are recommending that the minimum, midpoint, and the max be increased.
And that's based on market value, because we don't want to stay behind.
Correct. And, some districts, sometimes they're tight, they skip this step, they'll hold on to the same pay scale for a couple of years. We've seen that happen as well. But we are recommending that we not skip this step. And then adjustments are also going to be made to at least above, if anybody falls below the minimum, then they will be adjusted to be at least at the minimum. And then pay equity adjustment for those in the teacher career path. So for example, if we have a teacher moving into a librarian position, they should not be making less than they would have made had they stayed in the teaching position. This should be a promotion. So those type of adjustments are made. Anybody that's below the market rate, and TASB is also recommending a targeted adjustment for those individuals. And then we're going to continue to monitor the stipends, as I mentioned before. The stipends are addressed in the book that you have with you, the compensation plan. And the recommendations for changes are the ones highlighted in red. And also, we'll continue to review our compensation plan every year. And then the recommendation on the self-funded plan, this is a history of our employer contribution. So the district sets aside, like Ms. Sylvia Cruz says, the district sets aside $409.25 per month for every employee that participates in the plan. And, in 1819, that figure was $364.26, and then it got raised in 1920. In 2021, it remained the same. So we did a comparison with other districts, and we found out that our number is lower than some of our peers, as she mentioned. For example, PSJ puts in $640 per employee per month. That's Westaco 582, Edinburgh 504, Donna 505, and then some of the other districts are still on the low end. So what we are proposing is increasing that employer contribution to the health plan from $409.25 to $450.18, which is a 10% increase. We are not recommending an increase to the employee premium. So the employees are not going to feel the difference. And that concludes my presentation. And I'll now open it up to questions.
How many hours did y'all work on this?
Oh my God.
A lot.
Slept there. You can tell.
Weeks.
Good job.
A lot.
Very good job.
Yes, and of course, we couldn't have done it without the dedicated staff, with our HR department, Ms. Pacheco, our HR director and her team. And, every time, let's look at this new scenario, run the numbers. And so they were always ready and willing to run all those reports and make the updates and prepare all those wonderful packets that you all have in front of you. So I'd like to thank them for all their efforts.
We were constantly saying, what if this, what if that? And somebody had to do the calculation.
Well, good job. Very good job.
Board members, any questions?
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia.
Just a comment, we do love our admins.
We love our what?
Our admin, we do love our admin.
Who love our admin.
Yes.
And we're going to work on that in the future. We're going to continue to work on that.
You want to continue?
Okay, well, actually, this is an action
Yes.
item.
Yes. Starts
Okay,
there.
so the administration would like to recommend option 2, which is a 3% for the hourly employees and 2.5 for the administrators, and also the $2,000 stipend to be paid in September. And there's a date that everyone needs to be here. Did we say the first day of classes?
Sorry, for September.
September 3rd. And then, the first stipend will be paid September 3rd. And then the second stipend will be paid in December. And this is an action item.
Do I hear a motion?
I propose that we move.
Second. I have a motion from Roy Vela, seconded by Iris Iglesias. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I have a question on the 3%.
Yes, ma'am.
Will this be a continuation from now on, or is it only now for this year?
Thank you. That's a great question. Every year that we give a % increase, you have to give it for the life of that of all employees. Okay? What we gave 3 years ago, we have to be giving it every year, plus whatever else we can. So yes, that 3%, we believe that we can continue to provide it. And then we'll see how, looking at what the legislature did, we're pretty set with what they provided to us. So we can afford that 3%. Yes.
Thank you.
I have a quick question.
Ms. Sana.
Yes.
Considering option 2, that's what it is?
That's what I was gonna
Option
ask.
2.
Option 2.
Yes, option 2.
Okay, sorry, each one. Okay, so the vote was 6-0, Ms. Sana.
Consideration and approval of Mission CISD School District budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1st and ending June 30th, 2022. You said, Ms. Rumelda?
Yes.
Okay.
Good evening, once again, Madam President, members of the board, Madam Superintendent, members in the audience. Item number 2 is the consideration and approval of the Mission Consolidated Independent School District budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2021 and ending June 30th, 2022. The budget must be presented and approved at least at the fund and function levels to comply with state's legal level of control mandates. The budget was developed using an average daily attendance of 13,822 students. Budgets for the general fund and the service fund must be adopted by the board. All other budgets are presented for information purposes only and are not subject to board approval. The funding source is state compensatory education accelerated instruction funds in the amount of 350,000. A general fund budget of 182,862,843, and debt service fund budget of 8,457,048. Administration is bringing forward a recommendation of the approval of the Mission Consolidated Independent School District budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2021 and ending June 30th, 2022 as follows. Approval of the state compensatory education accelerated instruction funds in the amount of 350,000. Item B, approval of the general fund budget of $180,862,843 and debt service budget of $8,457,048 for a total budget of $189,319,891. And there is a proposed budget broken down by function attached to the agenda item.
Do I have a motion?
I propose we move.
Second. Motion by Mr. Juan Gonzalez, seconded by Ms. Petra Ramirez. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
Okay. The next item is consideration and possible action for universal pre-K 3-year-old program.
Do I have a motion on that?
I so move.
Oh. Did
Oh,
you want to talk a little
already-
bit or no?
We already heard it.
We
Already heard it.
already heard it. Okay, go for it.
We heard
I
it.
second it.
Questions?
Yes, no,
No?
we heard it.
So, I'm sorry, I meant Mr. Gonzalez.
No, no.
Motion?
Jerry,
Gary was
Okay. Motion by Mr. Jerry Zamora, seconded by
coach. Was you right?
Petra.
Petra?
Ramirez?
Seconded by Mrs. Ramirez. Do we have any discussion?
Ready to
All
vote?
those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries 6-0.
Item number 4. Consideration and approval of the 2021 final amended budget. Administration is bringing forward this approval of the final amended budget for this fiscal year. The budget reflects anticipated expenditures that we may have through June 30th. However, we will have the financial books open probably until sometime in September, October, during the audit mode. We did increase revenues by $765,788 for some anticipated collections on taxes for the upcoming months. Also, on the federal side, we're expecting some monies from the federal government for the child nutrition program since they lost revenues in the prior fiscal year due to the pandemic. And on the state funding, we are reducing the foundation monies to reflect the actual average daily attendance and full-time equivalent student counts in the different programs funded by the state. We are also increasing expenditure by $296,004. And then on the other sources and other uses, there is a net effect of $130,216 with a budgetary increase to fund balance of $600,000. Administration brings forward a recommendation for the approval of the final amended budget. General fund expenditure budget at $182,990,138. And on the debt service fund expenditures budget, $9,944,602.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
I have a motion on the floor from Ms. Petra Ramirez and a second by Mr. Roy Vela. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
Item number 5, approval of authority to enter into interlocal agreements for participation in purchasing cooperatives. District administration has brought forward to the board in prior years requests to participate in purchasing co-ops. We do have some of the more common co-ops in the state, such as Byborn, Texas Department of Information Resources, Region 1, and others that I have listed here. However, there's been times that we get requests from campuses and departments that they would like to utilize purchasing co-op in order to meet the needs of the campus or department. However, we are unable to meet the needs of the user because we do not participate in that particular co-op. So with this agenda item, we would like to ask the board to authorize the superintendent to sign contracts to enter into purchasing cooperatives, so long as the contracts are within the district's policy authorizing interlocal. This item was reviewed by legal counsel.
I so move.
I second.
I have a motion by Ms. Petra Ramirez, a second by Mr. Juan Gonzalez. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Motion carries
6-0.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Items 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 are annual formalities that we bring for the board for your consideration as we start planning for the next school year. So item 6 is the approval of memorandum of understanding with City of Mission Police Services for the 2021-22 school year. Administration is bringing forward a recommendation to approve this memorandum of understanding so that the city can provide 7 police officers to or secondary campuses within the Mission area. The estimated amount is $401,762.20. Administration recommends the approval of this memorandum of understanding.
I so move.
Second. You did not want to do 6, 7, and 8
Yeah,
together?
I was gonna ask.
Can we do that?
Let's
Yes,
move
of
in.
course.
Let's move.
Board okay with that?
Yes, let's move.
Okay,
Item number 7 is for,
Yeah, they wanted to do it together?
yes.
It's all together from 6 to,
Together.
from 6 to 11.
Okay, so the motion was made by
Jerry.
Mr. Zamora, Jerry Zamora.
I retracted and we'll do 6, 7, and 8, and 9.
I'm sorry?
I'll retract my motion.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
It's okay. If it's okay with the board, we can do all 3 together, right?
Yes, you would just want to have administration, Madam President, make the recommendation
Of all 3.
each of them, so that
Okay.
way the record will be
Yes.
clear about
Okay.
which ones
Go
are.
ahead and.
Okay, good. Okay, Ms. Reese?
yes, ma'am. Administration is bringing forward a recommendation that the board approve items 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. And once again, these are annual formalities as we plan to start up the school year for 2021-2022.
Okay, so the motion on the floor still stands by Mr. Jerry Zamora,
I second.
seconded by Mr. Juan Gonzalez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. Number 12.
On number 12, we may wish to talk, I can give you a legal explanation of that resolution, and then you may wish to bring that.
I do have a resolution.
Yes, would you please?
Yes. In closed session, you may want to have that legal.
We're gonna pull it.
We're gonna take it.
Okay, we take it to closed session? Okay,
Executive session.
okay. Okay, number 13.
Yes. Ms. Garcia.
Number 13, approval of memorandum of understanding with daycares that meet the 3- and 4-year-old enrollment criteria. We are recommending that the board approve for the district to negotiate memorandum of understanding with daycares. We currently have one daycare that does have sufficient 3- and 4-year-olds. I'm going to get.
Yes, 3- and 4-year-olds.
That would allow the district to provide a teacher, supply a teacher, and be able to count those children under our enrollment, even though they're attending at the daycare facilities. So we would like to have this memorandum of understanding approved so that we can begin to use it for this daycare as well as other daycares as they come up in the future. We will be actively seeking partnerships with other daycares in the community, so long as they do have at least
20.
at least 20 students to cover one teacher.
Yes, and it could be a combination of 3- and 4-year-olds or just 3. And as you will recall, we have been doing this with Head Start. Now, it is very difficult for a daycare to have a whole classroom that qualifies with those criteria that I talked about. However, throughout when the pandemic started and when we were starting to work with remote instruction, we did contact all of the daycares because many of the children would be going to daycare, especially because their parents weren't. So we also talked to them to see, the number of kids that they had, to see if we were able to place a teacher. Most of the time, they only have a handful of kids. This particular daycare does have these children, and so they are ready to work with us. And this legislative action was passed at least 15 years ago. And as a matter of fact, 2 years ago, the legislators pushed it again, that we continue to work with daycare centers, but we had not been able to because they didn't have the numbers. But this particular daycare center does have the numbers. So we are going to reach out to all of them again and see, because what's happening is that the children are getting daycare services, but with our teachers there, they are getting the same curriculum that our students get, so that they'll be able to do a smooth transition once they come to our campuses. And that is an action item. So we're asking for approval of memorandum.
I propose we move.
I'll go ahead and second.
Okay. Roy?
No, it was
Motion on the floor from Mr. Juan Gonzalez, seconded by
just someone.
Jerry Zamora. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 6-0.
Item 14, approval of renewal of interlocal cooperation agreement with the Hidalgo County Tax Assessment and Collection for tax year 2021. Administration is bringing this item for your consideration for approval. The district has continued to use the Hidalgo County Tax Office to collect the taxes on behalf of the school district. The amount for the year will be $72,252, and this is the same amount from prior year. There is no increase, and this is funded out of general fund. Administration recommends approval.
I so move.
Second. So motion from Ms. Petra Ramirez, seconded by Roy.
Miss.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
I heard you because you were here.
Item 15, consideration and possible action regarding the sale of real property. Earlier in the spring, in February, administration brought forward a recommendation to the board to declare some property as surplus and authorize the district to sell the property. That item, the item was advertised and the district did receive an offer. However, we noticed that the resolution, that the board approved included the erroneous legal description as per Hidalgo County records. The physical address is the same and the building is the same. However, in order for the district to be able to sell the property, we need to have the board approve a resolution that makes reference to the correct legal description of the property. Administration would like to make a recommendation to rescind board action from February 10, 2021, and recommend that the board approve of the resolution stating the correct legal description of the property.
I so move.
Second. Motion by Mr. Juan Gonzalez, seconded by Mr. Jerry Zamora. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Motion carries 6-0.
Yeah.
Item number 16, discussion and approval of new grant-funded positions using the American Rescue Plan ESSER III Federal Funds. And as discussed in the financial plan presentation, the district is proposing some recommended positions. For example, team teachers, tutors, additional teaching staff, instructional paraprofessionals, the elementary literacy interventionists. We're proposing 3 social workers, which is a new position, so I have attached a job description for that. Licensed professional counselors, 2 of them, and then the at-risk counselors, 1 at each comprehensive high school. 4 additional licensed vocational nurses, custodians, bus drivers and bus aides, 1 accountant to support finance with the grant, and then safety and security preparedness and response specialists to assist with the pandemic efforts. And that job description again is attached. These are grant funded positions that will be available through the grant period, and then once after that grant period, that will expire. And at that time, we'll have to look at that as far as either placing them in other positions or discontinuing that position.
So it is just,
How long is?
is it a 3-year? How long? Yeah, 3-year.
Yes.
3-year grant?
It is a 3-year grant.
And all vacancies will be posted with the years.
Correct.
And that it's an ESSER grant position, to be very upfront.
Exactly.
Interviews and so on.
Very good.
However, we don't see that we're gonna have too much of an issue because we always need teachers.
Yes.
We always need custodians and bus drivers, so people leave, nurses, they leave.
Yes.
We don't fill, and then, you move one of the grant funded, so we'll be very careful with that.
Especially as we near year 3.
Or the professional positions, that's what I'm more concerned about.
Yes, like for example, with the licensed professional counselors and social workers, Mr. Jesse Trevino is here. I've asked him in case you all had any questions. But one of the things that I tasked the group is we need to start looking at grants right now so that year 3, hopefully we can find another funding source and then continue that program.
We need them.
Yes, so those are the things that we will be looking at.
And as you will recall, last year, we did receive a grant for additional LPC.
Correct.
Okay, so there will be funding out there, and we're always looking for that. And also, even like social workers, some of them, may like the aero position, or some of them, may want to become teachers or so forth. So there's always opportunities.
Thank you. I so move.
A second.
Okay, motion by Mr. Juan Gonzalez, second by Mr. Roy Vela. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
Good evening, President Rogers, members of the board, Dr. Perez, Superintendent, members of the audience. First agenda item I have is consideration approval to accept the best and final offer and to enter into contract for the security entrances for Altima Moore Junior High, Cape White Junior High, Pearson Elementary, and Roosevelt Alternative. At the regular Board of Trustees meeting of June 8th, the board approved to enter into negotiations with the top-ranked firm, Refco. Administration presents consideration approval to accept their best and final offer, which is $86,250, which includes the alternate of the security locks.
Questions? Do I have a motion?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Mr. Jerry Zamora, second from Mr. Juan Gonzalez. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
Consideration approval to accept the best and final offer and to enter into contract for the Mission CISD Structural Maintenance Warehouse Project. This is for the roof. At the June 8th regular Board of Trustees meeting, the board approved to enter into negotiations with the top-ranked firm, NM Contracting LLC. Administration presents consideration approval to accept their best and final offer, which is $399,550, which includes the alternate, which is the adjacent shop area.
Very good.
Questions?
So move.
Second. Okay, a motion by Mr. Jerry Zamora, seconded by Ms. Petra Ramirez. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carries 6-0.
Okay, and would like to move item 20 from 19 and 19 to become 20.
Okay.
Number 19?
19, yes. And item number 19 is authorize the superintendent to dwell outside the district boundaries through completion of repairs to the superintendent's residence. As you are aware, part of the superintendent's contract is to live in the district, and my home needs some repairs. And I do have another residence where, so the best time to do it is, the recommendation is during the summer when we don't have students in our classrooms. So I'd like to propose.
I so move.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Juan Gonzalez, seconded by? Iris. By Ms. Iris Iglesias. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, none. So motion carries 6-0.
Now, item 20, Ms. Minnie?
Item 20. It's time for me to give up my gavel and throw.
Oh, no, you gotta read. Possible.
I have to read it, okay. Possible nomination and election of Mission CISD Board of Trustees, officers, and Board of Trustee reorganization.
I nominate Mr. Jerry Zamora as president, Ms. Betty Mendoza as vice president, and Mr. Juan Gonzalez as secretary.
I second the motion.
It's been moved by Ms. Petra Ramirez and seconded by Mr. Juan Gonzalez. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? I didn't get everybody's hands, yes or no?
I guess they didn't vote.
Okay.
So we don't have a president.
Well, I mean, how many?
What did you do again?
Yeah, so just do it. You have ayes or nays. I didn't.
Okay, I didn't either.
You'll need to do a count.
Okay. So all those in favor of the slate as it was read, raise your hand. Aye. 2. Okay. All those opposed?
You didn't vote?
Minnie? No, well, do I have to vote?
Yes.
Okay, so let me change mine to 3, okay?
I'm sorry, I can't hear in your back.
Okay, so to vote, the vote for the slate is, the first one is 3. Next, Jerry, you had your hands up?
What's that?
You had your hand up?
Yes,
All those opposed?
yes.
Is that what it is, opposed? Okay, so who voted opposed?
Iris, Jerry, and
Opposed? Iris? Yep, and, okay, so we have, it's 3-3. 3 opposed and 3 positive.
The motion fails, so
So the motion fails?
yes.
No?
So
You can do another
can
motion.
entertain another motion.
Just a minute, I need to
Hold on.
who voted against.
The first motion failed. The motion failed.
She wants to know who voted.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Voting for the slate, as Ms. Ramirez read, was, Ms. Ramirez made the motion, the slate to be Juan Gonzalez, Betty Mendoza, and Juan Gonzalez.
No, Jerry Zamora?
Oh, that wasn't that opposed? Oh, Jerry, who did I say?
No. But for president?
President is Jerry. Betty Mendoza for vice, and Juan Gonzalez for secretary. Okay, so the motion was, even, so now I will redo the motion again?
well, the protocol follows, I mean, we're following the protocol for president and vice president. So I guess the problem was the secretary. So.
So someone has to make a motion now on whatever they want.
Okay, who wants to make a motion?
I'll make a motion so we have to nominate Mr. Jerry Zamora president, Ms. Betty Mendoza, vice president, and Ms. Coach Iris Iglesias, secretary.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mr. Jerry Zamora. Did you get all of that, Ms. Ana? Okay. The motion by Mr. Roy Vela is Jerry Zamora for president, Betty Mendoza for vice president, Iris Iglesias for secretary. Okay. All those in favor of the slate, raise your hand. That's the only way I can.
Wait, I'm a motion. So now,
You seconded.
so someone needs to, I second it, I'm sorry.
Who made the motion?
I did.
Roy did.
Roy made the motion.
Okay.
I second it.
Okay, so Jerry, you're seconding the motion. Okay. All those in favor as the motion is stated?
Aye.
3. Again, we're 3-3.
It's,
Well, you need to ask if.
wait,
Okay, all those opposed? Okay, so
you need to vote, ma'am.
we're not gonna get anywhere that way.
But we don't get anywhere, we don't change,
Then there's no change.
there's no change,
I
we
mean, you
stay.
could continue to do motions.
We need it, Betty.
Or it's no change.
What do you mean, no change?
Means that.
We don't have a majority for them to be the president, so.
So Ms. Rogers would remain president. Yes, I mean, that's, no motion passes, the status quo.
We don't have Betty, we don't have another number.
Okay.
Did we put it off for the next meeting or?
Yeah, the board can reorganize, Madam President, the board can reorganize as, whenever it wishes.
So what you're saying, it can remain as is?
Yes.
Or it can become another agenda item at another?
Yes, it can be brought back up, in a future meeting.
All right, so the officers stay as is.
Yes, so no action is necessary to memorialize that.
I just need to know who are the three that voted against.
The three that voted against?
Petra, Juan.
Me, the opposite. I guess I get to read my goodbye.
You don't?
For you.
I was going to follow Ms. Anna and do a conversation piece. Okay, so where do we go from here now?
Okay, the next items.
Continue.
Agenda, ma'am. Okay?
So where we stand? 21.
Yes, 21, we will take into executive session, which will be recommendation and approval for the selection of Midkiff Elementary Principal, Mission High School Assistant Principal, Coordinator for Project and Energy Management, Special Education Licensed Specialist in School Psychology, and Options Academy Assistant Principal. Board of Trustees information items include, of course, you have this information, the financial report for the month of May 2021, the general fund balance, the debt service, the self-funded health insurance fund, cash disbursements for the month of May 2021, tax levy adjustments for the month of May 2021. Important dates to remember. No scheduled meeting for the month of July 2021 unless there's an emergency. Next meeting is set for August 11, 2021, Board of Trustees workshop. And that is usually at 6:30 p.m. as well. Okay, so you can add 6:30 p.m. And then August 18th, that's when we will have our regular Board of Trustees meeting at 6:30 p.m. And that is it. And before we go into executive session.
In accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, the board may enter into a closed meeting to deliberate any item that is listed above that fits within an exception listed in subchapter D. Any final action, decision, or vote on a subject deliberated in a closed meeting will be taken in an open meeting held in compliance with Texas Open Meeting Act. This meeting is now adjourned at 9:03.
Executive session.
Executive session, sorry.
No, the regular meeting is.
The regular meeting.
That's adjourned.
To go into executive session, which I had already read, I think. Okay.
So break, I'll wait.
About a 10, 15-minute break, everyone?
10 minutes, 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Ms. Rogers, we're ready.
We're ready?
Okay. Dr. Pettis is handling it.
What's today? Item number 24, consideration and possible action regarding resolution pertaining to disaster preparedness. Mr. Hanson.
Madam President, members of the Board of Trustees, if you adopt this resolution, it accomplishes two things. The first is in the case of a declared local, state, or federal emergency, it authorizes the superintendent to interpret and authorize leave for your employees who are not able to come to work because of the emergency. And it also authorizes the superintendent to administer a supplemental emergency pay, so long as it's budgeted, in the event that there is a need to have certain employees come to work when others are not and home on leave. The second part of it is to deal with, things like hurricanes and other storm damage type of things. It can be other things as well, but in this case, it's going to be that if there's damage that causes severe operational failure and is a danger to students, that the superintendent would be able to suspend the application of Section 44.031 of the Texas Education Code and make purchases for the purpose of accomplishing that emergency repair. The limit on any single contract for that type of emergency repair would be $250,000, and in the aggregate for the emergency would be $500,000. If any contract goes above that amount, the superintendent would be required to come back to the board for permission. Finally, this resolution terminates all previous emergency authorization resolutions and and establishes the new standard going forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. Hanson, and is there, from what time to what time have they?
And this one has its own termination date, so this will go through the year. So if you have a hurricane this summer, it would be in effect. If you had another freeze, that'll never happen.
Never know.
Next February, it'll still be in effect. So basically, it'll go through 1 year. And that was the idea, is that
1 year.
You can say, okay, how'd this work for us? And then work from there.
I so move.
A second.
To accept it as read.
Second.
Who made the motion?
I had.
Harry?
Yeah.
And who's second? I wasn't looking, I'm sorry. Motion on the floor from Jerry Zamora, seconded by Ms. Aris Iglesias. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries 6-0.
Item number 21, recommendation and approval of the selection for various positions. And the administration recommends that the Board of Trustees hire Gina Alvarez for Midkiff Elementary Principal.
I so move.
Second.
Been moved by Jerry Zamora, seconded by Roy Vela. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
Item B, Mission High School Assistant Principal. The administration recommends that the Board of Trustees hire Ms. Cynthia I. Gonzalez as the Mission High School Assistant Principal.
I so move.
Second.
I will.
By Ms. Aris Iglesias, seconded by Jerry Zamora. All those in favor say aye.
I will abstain.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-0.
So 1.
Motion is 6,
5.
No, 5.
5,
0.
1.
0, and 1.
5-1 abstain.
Thank you. I haven't done that in a long time.
Item C, Coordinator for Project and Energy Management. The administration recommends Adrian Hernandez for Coordinator for Project and Energy Management.
So move.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Ms. Petra Ramirez, seconded by Mr. Roy Vela. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
6-0.
Item D, Special Education's Licensed Specialist in School Psychology. The administration recommends that the Board of Trustees hire Mrs. Angela E. Carrejo.
So move.
Second.
Been a motion by Mr. Jerry Zamora, seconded by Iris Iglesias. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
Options Academy Assistant Principal. The administration recommends that the Board of Trustees hire Mr. Andres Garza.
I so move.
A second.
It's been motioned by Mr. Juan Gonzalez, seconded by Gallardo. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. Any other business to come before the meeting? Thank you all very much. Have a good evening. This meeting is
I so move.
Second.
at 10:28 p.m. Seconded by Ms. Ramirez and
No.
Motion, second.
Ramirez and seconded by Mr. Rivera.
Bye-bye.
And we're dismissed. Thank you.
All in favor? No.
Let's
Let's.
stay longer. Vamos a ver el circo.
Right there, man.